So we're here in the State of Charge garage, and we have a special guest. It is the Dean of DC Fast Charge. It is the ruthless road tripper and my friend and podcast compadre, Kyle Connor, the creator and host of Out of Spec Studios and all the Out of Spec YouTube channels. Awesome. Kyle's here at my house. We're doing a video for his channel on my home backup system and the whole State of Charge garage. I said, you can't leave until we sit and have a quick conversation. So we're going to just talk a little bit about DC Fast Charge. Now, my followers know I really specialize on home charging, level 2 charging equipment, doing reviews and so forth. Kyle really is the man to go to for DC fast chargers. He's used all of them. He does crazy road trips. He's driving all over the place. I mean, I've driven about 400,000 miles in my EVs over the last 14 years. Kyle's, I'm sure, driven further in the last 4 years.
Actually, probably so. Maybe close to it.
So like, I mean, literally, he drives all over the country, which is awesome. And he gets to try out DC fast chargers on every network, and he even started rating the chargers, which we're going to get into next. He's zoning in on improving charger performance in the public, and he's doing a good job at it. So we're going to talk to Kyle today about DC fast charging. But before we jump into that, don't forget, if it's your first time here at State of Charge, smash that subscribe button, give us a like, all that good stuff, and also check out Out of Spec. Is this going to be on Out of Spec Reviews?
The one we shot's on Out of Spec Reviews. It's a long one.
Yeah, it's a long video. Out of Spec Reviews, and give Kyle a like and make sure you subscribe to his channel also. This video is powered by Qmerit, North America's leading provider of installation services for electric vehicle charging, home energy storage, and other electrification technologies. See how Qmerit is making the energy transition easy for home and business owners by following the link in the description of this video. All right, so I'm here with Kyle. We're going to talk about DC fast charging. Now, Kyle, you're the man to talk to about DC fast charging. And honestly, I mean, if you guys haven't checked out his channel, I believe most of my followers know who Kyle is and has checked out his channel. You see, he has so many videos on DC fast charging. Give me a quick overview with the state of DC fast charging right now.
Yeah, well, it was maybe 5 years ago, there were very few DC fast chargers installed. It's very new to see mass and, outlay of DC fast charging products. And, I'd say within the last 3 years really is when this big wave of oh, you could actually go places in your non-Tesla electric car. I look at iPace and e-tron launching in 2019. You could almost not drive those cars anywhere back then. Yeah. Now, because charging networks have gotten so many places, almost the values of those have come up because their usability has gone up. And, we went through, I would say, what was the golden age of DC fast charging and electric car ownership over maybe the last 2 years, year and a half. And that was maybe you'd plug in and it wouldn't work, but you were the only one at the charger and you could fool around. Now, not only are they still fairly unreliable as a whole, they're crowded. So you can't always play the ping pong game.
Absolutely. And, you talk about reliability, and that's a very important topic. If you own an EV, if you go on road trips, a non-Tesla electric vehicle, you realize that we've got a problem with reliability across all of the networks. There's not one particular network that we need to pick on. I mean, there's some that are doing slightly better than others. But Tesla doesn't seem to have these reliability issues. They're not perfect Tesla. There's Teslas, I own two different Teslas over 4 years, and I didn't 100% of the time plug in and have it work. I mean, it was maybe 99% of the time.
Yeah.
But give us a quick answer as to why is that? Why do Tesla chargers just work better, Kyle?
Yeah, there's no quick answer. I wish there was. I mean, I think it comes down to design and engineering of charging hardware, the software implementation, and then the overall maintenance of that charger once it's in the ground. Tesla has got this down. They've proven that they've got it down, and it's awesome. It's not perfect. We have Rate Your Charge now, which is our new Twitter page. I've at least heard from some folks at Tesla, we've already helped fix many superchargers, over 5, just from our users' feedback. Yeah. And when you look at that compared to the general public of charging infrastructure, ooh, it's way worse. So yeah, we are really in a dark period right now.
So Tesla. Kyle mentioned rate your charge. Now he started this new. I don't even know what to call it at this point,
Me
because
either.
you don't. It's not a website or anything. It's just you go on Twitter and you use the hashtag rate your charge, and you take a picture and you talk about your charging experience in public at a public charger. So if you go to a charging station, it doesn't matter if it's Tesla or another vehicle, and you plug in, you take a picture and you rate your charge. You tell us how it went basically, and if you had a great experience, if everything worked fine, you give it a good score. If you had to plug in, it didn't work on the first charger, you moved over, you plugged into it, it worked. You don't have to give it a 0 because you did charge, but maybe you give it a 5 because half of them didn't work. But what this is doing is it's bringing to attention, it's shedding light on the problem that we're having now with public charging being so unreliable. And I don't think this is something that you brainstormed and maybe I'm wrong and said, oh, this is what I'm going to start doing. It kind of happened organically.
We just did it. Yeah.
And now it just totally works. And so many people are doing this, and the charging networks are taking notice of this, and it's going to help the reliability get even better. So let's twist a little bit, but I don't want this to just be beating up the public charging.
Yeah, of course.
It needs to improve.
Primarily, they're good experiences.
Yes.
Let's just make that clear.
Yeah.
Over half, and way more than half, people are having great charging experiences. Yeah. The problem is when you go fill up with gas, it works pretty much every time.
That's what I was going to say. Over half, if you were over half a positive experience at a gas station,
it's pretty bad.
Well, so no, the problem is, you're on a long road trip, Kyle, and you need to charge somewhere, and that one charger within 20 miles doesn't work, or you're having trouble with it. It's a major problem. So 50%, better than 50% doesn't cut it.
Right.
Better than 95% is what we need to be.
Absolutely.
So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about Tesla connector.
Yeah.
Tesla recently announced that they were going to open up their connector and let anybody use the Tesla connector, and they renamed it the North American Charging Standard, which you can call it whatever you want, but it isn't the North American Charging Standard. But that's fine. I'm not going to knock them for that. Is anybody going to pick them up on this? Is anybody going to take them up on this and transition to using Tesla's native connector?
Well, there's no question it's a better connector. Yeah. It's a safer connector. It can flow more current. It's easier to use. It's more
lighter,
attractive.
It's elegant. Yeah.
It's just awesome. But it's probably 5 years too late, maybe even a little bit longer than that, especially now that we're seeing them integrate CCS connectors into their superchargers. Yeah. There's a very little incentive for anyone to switch.
Exactly. Now, once we saw the magic dock, I said that's game over for somebody switching. Why? And okay, now let's talk about V4 superchargers. Yeah. Tesla's going to be just starting to roll out their next version superchargers, and they're 1,000 amp units, 1,000 volt units. Right. And we saw the first ones get installed in Europe. Right. And supposedly soon we're going to start getting them installed in the US. Does that mean that Tesla as a brand is going to transition to, say, an 800 volt battery system across the brand? We've all speculated on the Cybertruck. Right. But do you think then we're going to see that happen to Model S, Model X, or?
It's the next wave, of course. I think we will. I think we're going to see 48 volt for low voltage systems, 800 volt for high voltage systems, somewhere around there. The Lucid's like 930 fully charged. This thing goes really high.
Yeah, there's a Lucid Air right out of the you can't see it. Kyle's dad just bought a Lucid Air, and he's charging here in our garage.
And I think Tesla's really going to transition from, yes, they're still going to make cars, but they are going to be the charging and energy dominator in this country. I mean, they build the best equipment, they have the best app, they have the best integration, and I wish there was some strong competition, but if they just say superchargers everywhere, which they can do, they're just going to dominate, especially with V4. The thing with the V4 in Europe is it's just the dispenser that's different. The actual charger is version 3 at this time. Yeah. So I think we're going to see the real version 4 charger, the exciting bit, coming soon. Because yes, they're 1,000 volt rated, but actually so are the V3s in Europe. Yeah. So I'm not really seeing much other than that immersion cooled cable, but we'll see. I mean, I think Tesla's really just gonna hammer everyone, or at least has the ability to.
Do you think they're all gonna have Magic Dock here in the US?
They better.
In Europe, it's different, where in Europe, basically the European Union forced Tesla to use CCS, to abandon their native plug, the Tesla connector. So in Europe, Tesla, as well as everybody else, uses CCS, and that's another conversation to have. Typically, I'm not pro having the government mandate something.
Yeah, me either.
And you aren't either. But in this case,
it's actually kind of helpful.
Should that have happened? Should, the government have stepped in and said, look, for the betterment of the entire industry, for the general population, we should have one connector.
Right, and it should have been CCS2 or Type 2 instead of Type 1.
I agree. If it was CCS Type 2, then it would have been less expensive vehicles because all the automakers could have made the same connector for Europe as well as the US. That adds cost when they have to develop a system for one area of the world and then a system for another area of the world.
And US heavy-duty vehicles, medium and heavy-duty electric, are already Type 2.
Yeah.
So it's just our light-duty stuff that's Type 1, CCS 1. So I think that's a bit of a shame.
It absolutely is a bit of a shame. And how about the NEVI funds? Have you read up on how that's going to work, like as far as charger uptime? Now, I know one of the things that you really are trying to push for is more reliability, which is really a fantastic effort for you to put forth. What's with the NEVI funds? How much of a bite does the uptime language in that have? Is it really going to do it, or is it greenwashing? Are we going to have, can the charging networks get away with not having a real uptime?
I think yes to all of the above. I think there's enough leeway in the way that it's spec'd and written where 97% is how do you quantify that?
Yeah.
And certain states might have separate requirements than the federal stuff as well, so we'll see. There's a lot of excuses and outs, so who knows? I think we should see more resiliency built into on-site energy storage to at least hammer grid input issues. And we're not really seeing anything other than, just trying to put chargers in the ground is expensive and hard enough. There's no real huge business case to DC fast charging yet. It's getting better, but once that improves, then I think we'll actually see the reliability improve because then there's real competition.
That works. All right, listen, that's it. I just wanted to have a quick chat with Kyle. Don't forget to check out his video on Out of Spec Reviews, where we do a tour of the State of Charge garage.
It's a crazy one.
Yeah, it's a long video. We went over a lot of stuff, but like I said, I couldn't let him leave without doing a quick chat here. And thanks for taking the time, Kyle. And I'll see you Friday on the podcast.
That's right. I'll see you Friday on the podcast. Thank you, guys.